Welcome to the Paranormal Stakeout radio TV show with Larry Lawson. As a former career law enforcement officer and law enforcement educator, Larry focuses on the use of tried and true law enforcement investigative techniques in conducting paranormal investigations. Despite his experience and training, Larry also keeps an open mind to discussions on topics that deal with evidence that are not quite as physical in nature. Paranormal Stakeout guests are professionals in the field of the paranormal and parapsychology, conducting the investigations and research needed to further the cause of paranormal study. Larry advocates an agenda of standardization of structure and training in the field of paranormal investigation and research for the purpose of one day being able to produce the evidence needed to convince a jury of the existence of the paranormal. Whether it is ghosts, UFOs, unsolved mysteries, hauntings or cryptids, no topic is beyond the investigative reach of Larry Lawson and the Paranormal Stakeout radio TV show team. Now, here is the host of the Paranormal Stakeout radio TV show, Larry Lawson.
And hello, everyone. Welcome back to Paranormal Stakeout. I'm your host, Larry Lawson, coming to you from the Southern Command Post of the X Zone Radio and TV network down here in beautiful Vero Beach, Florida, where we haven't had rain in weeks. But at least the weather's fairly warm, and unfortunately, all of our friends up north are getting a little chilly, so I can't kick too much. But welcome back, everyone. Hope everybody's had a wonderful holiday and families and friends got back safe and made it through the airports and everything. Tonight, got a really interesting show for the first show of the year. DNR Paranormal is going to be joining us. A couple of guys from South Carolina. One of them's a Navy vet. They are a team of cryptozoologists and paranormal investigators out of Myrtle Beach. Charlie McCann served our country in the United States Navy as a rescue swimmer, and thank you for your service, Charlie. That is one hell of a job. He got into the world of paranormal after a UFO sighting while airborne in a Navy helicopter. So we're going to hear more about that tonight. Anthony DeLucia has been a prominent paranormal ghost hunter for 5 years, developing his skills in both detection and communication. They have formed DNR Paranormal Cryptic Files podcast rather, when they unlock the secrets of the history and of history's most mysterious beings. So without hesitation, anxious to get these two really funny guys on. Anthony and Charlie, welcome to the show, DNR Paranormal.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having us.
So we're not looking real Navy anymore there, Charlie, with that.
No. Yeah, I hated shaving so much. Once I got out, I decided I'd never do it again. So now I'm a mountain man.
Gotcha. So both of you in South Carolina now. Anthony, welcome also. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. How did you come together? How did you kind of get together to form the team? Take it from there. Tell us about yourselves.
Want me to take this one?
Yeah, I'll start it off. No, you get it. Okay.
Yeah. So DNR started actually a couple years before Charlie was involved. We have a third member who's still up in New Jersey, where we're originally from. Couldn't convince him to move down south with us. But my friend Chris and I were already exploring abandoned buildings and looking for what goes bump in the night. And we decided, why don't we start doing this for other people? So we started reaching out to different people in the community that we had heard had hauntings and other things going on in their apartments and local bars and stuff that had weird things. And DNR was born. And then a year or two later, I met Charlie through starting a band. Actually, we needed a bassist, and Charlie was the guy. And Charlie and I became really good friends really fast. And one day he looked at me and he goes, "Why don't we talk about cryptids?" And I was like, "Well, I'm already doing ghost stuff, so let's just add it to the brand. Let's make DNR Paranormal and the Cryptid Files one awesome thing." And Charlie really jumped onto that, and beyond the cryptids, he really took the ghost hunting by storm too. And now we're here in South Carolina, taking it all on.
Yep.
So Anthony, since you started off, how did you get into the field? What event in your life caused this interest in you?
So I was a really scared child. I was afraid of the dark. I was afraid of being alone. Like, you hear any sound in the night, I was like, "What's that?" And eventually that turned into, well, if I find the thing I'm afraid of and see if it's actually scary, it won't bother me anymore. And that led into
Right?
hunting for ghosts. So instead of being terrified of the antique shop down the road because one of the dolls might move on me, I was like, let me stare at it until I see it blink. And it just became more and more of that until my friend bought his first spirit box. I grabbed some laser thermometers and EMF readers, and we went to town.
Did you have a specific experience as a kid?
So the most vivid one that I can remember is there in the house I grew up in, there was a woman that I would constantly see. She would be at the other end of the house when I would come home late at night from work or from school or being with friends or anything. And she would just kind of poke her head out of the den and watch me come into the house. And the first couple times I saw it scared me silly. I ran up to my room, locked the door, didn't know what to do. After a couple times of that, I started getting used to it and I started waving back. And I noticed as I got more comfortable, I would see more of this woman more often and more of her as like more of the apparition. Instead of just the head, more of the body would poke out and look at me until eventually she was standing in the kitchen one night when I came home. I thought it was my mother. She had her back to me and I walked by and they even said, "Hey mom, you're up late." And then it dawned on me that they were in Florida at the time and I was the only one in the house. So that right there, I was like, there's no way to explain that. They definitely just saw something and I want to see more.
Did you ever figure out who that person was?
No. So right before I moved out of that house, we did an investigation because I wanted to wait till the last possible minute in case it was somebody that I didn't want to know was living there. And we didn't get any conclusive evidence. We have some theories that it could be my mom's mother. She passed away when she was in her late 20s, and it kind of fits the same. She looks about the same as this apparition did. And my mom feels like she's been following her around her whole life. The only thing with that theory is that my parents moved out of that house 4 or 5 years before I did, and she stuck around. So we're not sure if it was my grandmother and she was staying with me, or if it could be somebody else that was just hanging around and watching over me. She doesn't seem to have followed me to South Carolina, so we really aren't sure.
Yeah, but your parents they didn't think you were half a bubble off or anything. They were pretty open with you about it, I guess, right?
My mom, for sure. My dad is just kind of one of those like, okay, whatever you say, bud. But my mom was very much like, it's probably my mom, or it could be our aunt, or it could be this person, or maybe it's whatever. So,
well, I noticed in the back there you got a sign. I got stoned with Bigfoot, so maybe they were thinking that was part of it.
Yeah.
So my mom bought me that sign. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Okay, so Charlie, United States
Yeah.
Navy. Wow. Once again, thank you for your service.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the tax dollars.
Funny man.
Yeah.
So tell us how you got into the field here.
Okay. So I've always been into fishing, camping, doing outdoor stuff. So I've always seen like weird things in the woods, that I couldn't quite explain. But it really took me till when I got into the Navy, right? And I was doing just a plane guard flight in the Middle East one. It was like Persian Gulf area, right? And we saw this super bright like orb floating through the sky, right? And we locked onto it with our camera, right? And it tells us distance and direction, heading, all that stuff. And then the distance numbers just started shooting up and down ridiculously, right? So we started recording it, and I got this whole recording of it, and it started flying through the sky, back and forth, up and down. It was super wild, right? I've never seen a drone be able to fly like this. I've never seen any aircraft be able to fly like this before. And so we brought the video back to Intel. And let me tell you, we've taken videos and pictures of, different countries' boats, submarines, all kinds of cool stuff. And afterwards, we go back with our buddies from the shop and we go watch the videos and we're like, oh, look what we found. Cool. I dropped this video off, right? And I go back to the shop and I was like, hey guys, come check this out. And they told me I couldn't look at it anymore. And that was the first time they've ever said something to me about that. So I was like, wow, that's strange. But after that, I just kind of got into like UFOs and more of not only UFOs, but just unexplained things that people have seen, right?
Okay.
And I don't like to say, UFOs are always aliens too, because the first letter in UFO is unidentified. And I feel like we always claim to identify it immediately. Like, oh, it can't be a fighter jet, so it must be an alien. Doesn't make sense all the time. But but it's still important to investigate it,
Absolutely. We're going to talk. I want to talk a little bit more about that because I want to get your thoughts on some things in just a few minutes. But going back to this experience you had on the helicopter, did you get a shape? Did you see a shape of it? Was it emitting any colors that you noticed? Any lights? Did you
So
notice?
we were looking at it on an IR camera, right?
Okay.
So we weren't. I didn't see any color.
Okay.
But it was glowing, and it looked like an orb, but with like a really bright like haze around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no, there wasn't much I could really relay besides it. Just it looked like a floating ball.
So you didn't actually see it with your eyes; it was strictly through your instruments.
It was through the forward-looking camera we had. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the pilot actually spotted it first.
Okay.
Flying up front, and he put the camera on it, and we have a little screen in the back where I could look at it. So
Gotcha. Had he ever seen anything like that before?
No, he was very surprised too, because we've seen drones. Like Iran has drones all over their country, right?
Right.
But it was definitely not that.
Okay.
So it was something that sparked my curiosity enough to be like, okay, I want to start looking into more things like this.
One other quick question. Any other talk about those types of sightings in the Persian Gulf? Did anybody else talk about it? Also, did you have anybody from Intel like take you aside and say, keep your mouth shut about this or anything like that?
No one told us to keep our mouth shut about it. They just said we couldn't see the video anymore. Right.
Okay.
So we were just talking about it for like the rest of deployment, like trying to figure out like what this thing was to everybody. But there's been people, I mean, it's the middle of the ocean, right?
Mm-hmm.
People have always, I have more UFO stories I think I've heard from Navy guys, just seeing weird stuff in the middle of the night out there than, anyone else. Especially because there's nothing to look at, I think, like when you're out on the flight deck in the middle of the night, there's nothing that's catching your attention. So when you see something, flash in the sky or do something strange, it's really easy to pick out. So
how often did that happen? Not only in your deployment, but in talking to other guys that have been to sea. Do these types of things happen that often? Because certainly, and we're starting to hear more and more about things from the aircraft carriers now on the civilian side. But what about from when you were deployed and the guys you were deployed with? How often did this sort of thing happen?
Honestly, it was pretty frequent. I'd say like every couple of weeks, somebody would just say they saw something absolutely bizarre that they've, never seen before. Whether that be something in the water that looked like it was like massive. One of my friends said he saw, it looked like it was about the size of like a submarine, but it was like a fish, like right underneath him. It looked like a giant sea monster he thought he saw. And I don't know. I believe a lot of this stuff.
Well, there's no question about it, and we're hearing so much now. Now we're going to be taking a break in just in about 45 seconds or so. When we come back, I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about not only what your colleagues saw, but what you think these sort of things are. And you made a really good point. Unidentified means identified, doesn't necessarily mean alien. So so when we come back, let's talk about that just a little bit. Folks, we're going to take our first break here in about 10 seconds, but I'd like you to stay with us. This is some interesting stuff. Very rarely do we get an opportunity to talk to somebody that's in the military and experience this type of thing. So stay with us. We'll be back with you right after these messages. Stay tuned to Paranormal Stakeout.
Welcome to Haunted Indian River County by Larry Lawson. Indian River County is an idyllic vacation spot on Florida's east coast, not far south of Cape Canaveral. Known as part of the state's famed Treasure Coast, many are unaware of the deep and fascinating history this area played in the development of the Sunshine State. Also lost among its visitors and residents are the chilling stories of the hauntings that accompany this rich history. It is here that a man named Waldo still looks after his family and properties 6 decades after his death. Or a retired preacher is seen digging up his hidden treasure days after he died. Larry Lawson spent more than 40 years in the law enforcement and criminal justice education profession. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree from Nova Southeastern University and a master's degree in public administration from Troy State University. He serves on the board of directors of the Indian River County Historical Society, is the director of the Florida Bureau of Paranormal Investigation, and is the owner of Indian River Hauntings, LLC, where he provides historical and paranormal tours and events. He has been actively researching the history and paranormal legends of the Treasure Coast of Florida since 2010. Larry is currently the host of Paranormal Stakeout radio TV show on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and the past host of Encounters with the Other Side on WPSL Radio in Fort Pierce, Florida. Pre-order your copy of Haunted Indian River County by Larry Lawson on Amazon.com today.
And we are back on Paranormal Stakeout with my friends from DNR Paranormal, Anthony and Charlie. I want to stick on this UFO stuff for a few more minutes, and I want to kind of start this segment off getting your thoughts, both your thoughts, on the Tic Tac videos. You know, there's a lot of talk now. Those really weren't even alien, but they were actually out of the skunk works in Area 51, re-engineered type of stuff. I don't know how true that is, but I'd be interested in your take on it.
Well, I mean, Area 51 is a experimental aircraft base. So, I mean, you're going to get weird stuff flying out of there, which is, I feel like, once again, it's everybody's natural reaction. Once they see something that they don't understand, we really have a craving to come up with an explanation for it. I feel like it's just hardwired into us. So it's hard when you look at, you know, a whole bunch of people's like perspective on one thing, because you get a bunch of bandwagon, you know, kind of excitement into it, where people will just hop on the train. Oh, I saw that too. That's the same alien, or that's the same flying saucer I saw. Right. So once one person classifies something as one certain thing, it's kind of like the collective group will do that. So I try not to listen to as much as everyone's explanations for what they see in a video is. I'd rather watch the video and see what I can kind of come up with, you know?
Okay. So what do you think the Tic Tacs were? You guys have an opinion on that?
I don't know if I've actually seen this one, so this is all you, Charlie.
Yeah, I think it's probably just, you know, government aircraft, honestly. It's not alien.
I just found it interesting that, you know, I mean, we all know a Navy Tomcat or F-18 pilot, you know, they're pretty well trained, pretty well squared away, you know, and they got it. And they, you know, they obviously thought it was something that was unusual, but I didn't know if you had looked into the theories at all of where they may have come from, because the big thing now, Stephen Greer, I think, talks about it. If you're familiar with him, talks about the fact that they are re-engineered alien spacecraft.
Oh, interesting. That'd be super cool if they were. I hope they are.
Other than your event in the helicopter, have you had any other UFO sightings, either of you?
You had one here.
Yeah, I had one here in the neighborhood, which was super weird. I was driving home one day, right? I forget where I was driving home from. It was whatever I think I was hanging out with my in-laws, which is another paranormal experience on its own. So I'm driving down the street, right?
You better hope they're not watching this show.
No, they don't watch anything I do. Anyways, I'm driving home, right? I'm in my neighborhood, and I just see a whole bunch of people standing in the street looking at the sky. And I was like, oh, okay, this is weird. So I just drove past, right? And then one of my neighbors starts yelling at me, and he goes, Charlie! Charlie! And I'm like, hey, Just, I could barely hear, so I couldn't tell what he was really saying right afterwards. But he runs over and he's like, come look at this. And I walk over and he's like, look at the sky over there. And he's pointing at the sky. and there's this big green, like glowing light coming from behind a cloud, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, there's something behind that cloud. And I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, there's a light back there, so that makes sense. And he shows me a video, and he's got this video of another orb, right? You can't really make out what it is. And I say orb because we're probably only seeing one specific light on whatever this craft is, right?
Okay.
And it's just doing this weird zigzag pattern through the sky, right? And then I was like, my first thought when I see something like that, I was like, oh, it could be like a laser, it could be something. But then I see it go behind the cloud, right? And it's glowing from behind the cloud now. So I can't imagine a laser that would be shooting behind the cloud and then causing that type of glow, kind of giving it like a halo effect. So that was super interesting. We got that video. Did we put that up on the podcast yet? No. Yeah, we should. Oh, yeah,
you should. Well, now, my wife actually had an experience herself night before last. She was looking out. It was last night. She was looking out the front window and started seeing several lights that were blinking strangely, and she took a video of it. I looked at it, and there was like 5 of them out there, 5 or 6 of them out there at different areas. I've pretty well determined they were drones.
Yeah.
How often do people mistake UFOs or UAPs, as they also call them now, they mistake drones for something like that?
Drones
all the time.
Drones are all the time. And also my new favorite thing to do is whenever somebody says they saw a UFO sighting at this area at this time, I look up to see if there was a meteor shower or something happening. Because we went to a UFO convention, a UFO and alien convention down in Georgia, right? And everybody came in.
What you want to call it?
Yeah. Everybody came in afterwards the next day, and they're like, we had this UFO sighting, and they showed this like blurry video of a green orb going through the sky. It was like kind of like a streak. And I pulled up the news, and I was like, oh, meteor shower last night can be visible right where we're at. I was like, that could be it, guys. I don't know if this was necessarily an alien.
The video the one bartender gave us, she was like, I saw a UFO. I looked at it, and I was like, that's the reflection of your dashboard lights in your window, huh?
Yeah.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
So what I'm hearing here is you guys get information. You just don't jump on that bandwagon you were talking about. You actually take a minute to research it. That's kind of what I'm hearing there.
It's find the answer, or as much of the answer as you can first before you believe it.
Yeah.
You gotta prove as much as you can properly before immediately going, oh, it's an UFO or UAP or an alien or something.
Yeah, and to this point, like today, I still have not 100% confirmed I've seen an alien aircraft. You know, I have met many people that have confirmed they've seen alien aircraft before. But it's kind of hard to, take that with as much certainty as they have.
Abducted, I won't for sure.
The drone, we had the drone incident. Remember about a year ago, especially up in New Jersey, we had some of it down here in Florida. Drones were everywhere. What did you think that was?
Government.
Yeah, government 100%. That was the U.S. testing some type of. What didn't they admit to it? Yeah, they did admit to it. They were like doing some testing stuff. Yeah,
they finally admitted to that, huh?
They did finally admit to it.
They were doing some military testing stuff. They didn't admit why.
Yeah,
that's just all they gave us.
Which they honestly, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, they're hiding stuff from us." I'm like, well, there's some things the military does have to keep a secret just for a national defense standpoint, right? We don't want to tell the entire world that we have the capability to do certain things. So every time that they give a vague explanation, I don't think it's because they're trying to hide aliens from us, but sometimes they definitely are trying to hide aliens from us.
So you believe that we have been visited by craft from other galaxies, planets?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your theory then on how they're getting here? Have they always? Some people say they've always been here. Some people talk about the wormhole theories. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know how they're getting here. I don't know why they're coming here, right? Or how often they're coming here. But I do know just the amount of research that the U.S. government has put into, actually tracking and finding these things. Like with Project Blue Book, that was their biggest, I believe, UFO project for a long time. And they tracked how many? It was like 12,000.
Ridiculous.
It was a ridiculous number of UFOs, right? And they said 800 of them are still unexplained. But but I also looked at some of the explanations that they had, and they were just complete BS explanations. So they definitely are trying to hide things at some point. We've seen a lot, especially with when we did Kofu Fanged Humanoids. That was a alien sighting in Japan, right? The Japanese government pretty much told
they
them
immediately shut that down.
Immediately shut it down.
We were testing a propeller plane. Yeah, you didn't see that.
They said they said we were testing a propeller plane. 2 kids saw this actual UFO land, right? 2 aliens come out, a saucer, right? And like they made contact with them, right? The kids went back to grab their parents, and their parents saw the aircraft take off, right? And fly away. Right. And then their school did an investigation afterwards. The Japanese government told them to stop pretty much talking about it, and that didn't happen. We were testing a propeller plane. Those 2 kids, right? This happened in the 80s, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those 2 kids today have focused their lives pretty much around UFOs, right? And they're still tell this story. They both passed lie detector tests multiple times. They travel, they talk about this story. They're very in tune with this. And it takes a lot for somebody to focus their entire life on something like this. So I find it very compelling. I find those stories very compelling. Do I know for sure aliens are here? No, obviously. But I am a firm believer that they have visited us. There has been some forms of communication and connection.
So what have either you or organizations like MUFON, what's being done to actually prove this, or to look at all the reports and decide whether or not this is actual instead of just hearing stories? What's being done to prove it?
Well, MUFON. You want to talk about MUFON?
Yeah. I was going to talk about the Paradigm Institute.
Oh, yeah.
So I know that the new Paradigm Institute is pushing very, very hard for like National Disclosure Acts and all these kind of stuff, where they're pushing the government to open up about what we've seen or what they've seen and who's contacted us and who's been here and what they actually know about extraterrestrials, UFOs, and aliens and all these things, because they feel like we have a right to know. Personally, I kind of feel like there's some things that we probably shouldn't know. Maybe they're sharing technology with us that the regular Joe Schmo shouldn't know exists on this planet right now. It might blow too many people's minds that we might not be able to handle it. Yeah. But there are some things that would be nice to know. It would be cool to have confirmation, like clear confirmation that something has been here, someone has been here, from where, who.
Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit, and I'll actually tie this up in just a quick second. Let's talk a little bit about cryptids. There's a lot of talk that UFOs and cryptids are dimensional creatures. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. All right. Let me just break down a definition of a cryptid real quick, right? It's a being that people think exists or assume exists, but it's not been scientifically proven to exist, right? So many things that we have today that we know are real animals, like the platypus, at some point were not believed to exist. They sent a body of a platypus to England in the late 1700s, and the doctors thought they were pulling a prank on them. And they said, this is a terrible attempt at taxidermy. And they were like, this is not a real thing. So there's that whole cryptid category, right? We put in a lot of things to that. Just about everything.
Aliens, by definition, can kind of be considered a cryptid. Ghosts, by definition, can almost be considered a cryptid. Just about any Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster, all the things that you know are cryptids. It's really is a much broader term than people like to box it in.
Yeah, and I get in arguments with people on Reddit about this on the daily.
Well, it's an interesting theory. I never quite thought of it like that. You've defined cryptids, but you've got something in the notes you sent me, the lizard man.
Oh yeah.
This is one of his favorites.
The only lizards I'm aware of in this area are what they call the reptilians in the UFO world.
Yeah. So, it's Mark Zuckerberg.
This was so we do our Cryptid Files podcast where we cover a different cryptid every Tuesday. We do deep dives and we try to cover a good range of cryptids people know: Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster, the Mothman, stuff like that, and cryptids that no one has heard about. And we bring it it's only a small group of people heard about it, like something like the squonk or the mahaha. So we covered the lizard man, which is big here in South Carolina. He's from Bishopville.
He's different than reptilians.
Okay. Oh, I'm glad you made that clear. But I'll tell you what, guys, I'm getting ready to go to my next break. So when we come back, I want the deets on the lizard man. Of South
this
Carolina.
is going to be good.
You will get it. Yes.
Okay. Have you ever seen the lizard? Have you ever seen the lizard man?
No,
we're planning to go hunt.
We're doing another investigation there to go find
All
him.
right. Well, we're going to hear more about that in just a second. Folks, stay with us. This is Paranormal Stakeout. We'll be back after these messages.
Are you ready to dive into the mysteries of the unknown? Tune into the electrifying X-Zone radio TV show hosted by the one and only Rob McConnell.
I'm Rob McConnell, and get ready for a mind-bending journey through the unexplained phenomenon that surrounds us all. From UFO encounters to cryptids, ghosts, and everything in between, we've got it covered here in the X-Zone.
Rob McConnell, the seasoned investigator and renowned radio personality, brings you the most compelling interviews with top experts, authors, and experiencers from around the world. Each episode is an unforgettable exploration into the depths of the extraordinary.
That's right, X-Zone Nation. Join me every week as we open the door to the supernatural and explore the strange and amazing stories that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew.
And it's not just radio anymore. With our groundbreaking TV show, you can now witness the sessions unfold right before your eyes. From chilling reenactments to captivating visuals, prepare yourself for a multimedia experience like never before.
With a legacy spanning over 2 decades, the X-Zone Radio and TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, is your ultimate source for mind-blowing entertainment and thought-provoking discussions. Join our growing community of truth seekers as we continue to unlock the world's mysteries.
So, why wait? Step into the X-Zone and embark on a journey that will challenge your beliefs, ignite your curiosity, and keep you on the edge of your seat.
Remember, X-Zone Nation, the truth is out there, and it's waiting for you right here on the X-Zone Radio and TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell. Don't miss a minute of the action.
Tune in now on your favorite radio station or visit xzoneradiotv.com to join the adventure. The X-Zone Radio TV show with Rob McConnell, where reality meets the unknown.
The X-Zone Radio TV show, unraveling the secrets of the universe, one episode at a time. For more information, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com.
And we are back at Paranormal Stakeout. My friends from DNR, the crazy guys from South Carolina. But I'm dying to hear about Lizard Man.
All right.
You're his favorite, so I'm letting him roll.
Lizard Man. So
All right.
Until we covered Lizard Man, Mothman was my favorite. And then this just took over. So the Lizard Man legend was from the 70s?
Bishopville.
60s?
Yeah. 60s.
60s in Bishopville, South Carolina. It's a tiny, tiny town in BF nowhere. There's really not much but a swamp. And there was
There's a lizard too.
yeah, well, so the first sighting, someone's Ford got attacked. Just their pickup truck got ripped apart, the bumper torn off, big claw marks, all this stuff. Everyone shows up, they're looking at it. The cops are, does anyone know what's going on here? What happened? Someone in the crowd goes, I bet you it was the Lizard Man. That was good enough for the cops. And suddenly there's a Lizard Man. Fast forward, late one night, this kid's coming home from work. He worked the night shift at McDonald's. He blows a tire next to a lima bean farm, gets out to change his tire, and he sees this 7-foot tall, green, scaly monster humanoid thing with glowing red eyes coming at him across the field. Throws all his stuff in the car, jumps in, speeds off. He hears it chasing after him, jump on the roof of his car. He swerves to shake it off, gets home, tells his family, this lizard monster just attacked me. Oh my God. He continues to tell his story. He passed polygraph tests about this thing till the day he dies. I saw this lizard man in Skateboard Swamp that chased after me. Now,
this is the cool part.
Okay.
the same night at the same farm, Lester. That was his name. I looked it up.
Lester.
The farmer, this man named Lester, who is 6'8", owns the same lima bean farm.
Massive lima bean farmer. This guy's huge.
He sleeps in his shed in the summers because people would steal his air conditioning units. So he sleeps out there to make sure that he wakes up if someone's coming to steal his stuff. Here's a car pull up at the edge of his farm. Puts on his glasses, and they're big, thick Coke bottle glasses, wraps himself in a burlap blanket, and goes charging across the field toward this car because he thinks they're here to steal his air conditioning units. I don't know about you, but taillights and glasses cause red glowing eyes. A burlap blanket in the dark kind of looks like scales, and this man is almost 7 feet tall. So you put that all together, for a panicked teenager, that looks like a lizard man.
That's a lizard man, especially if you're already terrified of the lizard man stories.
And as for the chasing the car and the landing on the roof, things that can be explained by low-hanging branches hitting the top of his car. He already thinks something's jumping on his car. He hit a couple tree branches on the way down the road, and he sped out of there. The kicker, though, there's still more sightings after this. And, of course, there's confirmed hoaxing, people planting footprints in the swamp, all this kind of stuff. But years and years later, and still up to recently, there's still sometimes you'll hear someone, I saw a lizard man. They're sightings of something, but it's something furry, something more Sasquatch-like. And a few of the times that they've had cars get destroyed or anything, they've picked fur off and sent it for testing. One time it was tested as a fox. One time it was tested and came back DNA of a wolf. And one time it came back inconclusive. Now, I don't know a wolf that can tear the bumper off of an F-150 and put deep bite marks in the hood. I don't know a fox that can rip open a tire. But I still don't think it's a lizard man, but I am pretty confident that there's probably some kind of skunk ape, Sasquatch, something in that swamp.
Yeah. Well, let's go back and analyze this a little bit. A cop takes somebody's story, lizard man story for real, and puts it in his report. News gets around town. People start thinking about it. And I think your description of the guy in the shed makes total sense. So the moral of the story is what? You check your your information.
Check your information.
Into it.
Check your data.
Because this blew up. This was worldwide news for a little while there. Bishopville was on the map. And since, I mean, they do the Lizard Man Stomp every year.
Great festival.
Last year, we're going again this year. It's Bishopville's thing.
Yeah. There is nothing else in Bishopville except for the Lizard Man.
And the Cotton Museum.
And the Cotton Museum. They have a Cotton Museum, too.
Well, Point Pleasant, they've got their Mothman and the Jersey Devil up in the... So I get you. Now, there was a story recently, and forget my old man brain because I'm forgetting it, but there was I saw a video where a guy was coming home from work or wherever, and his truck got hit by a large creature, and they literally called the cops, and there were scratches all over it. And I cannot think of where that is right now, but that story you told me about Lizard Man kind of reminds me of that. And there's actually a phone call from the driver to dispatch, and they got it. And this guy sounded terrified. If it was an act, it was a pretty convincing one. Are you familiar with that story at all?
I remember that going around. I believe that was in North Carolina, but I'm not 100% sure.
I think it was North Carolina.
I do remember that he's screaming, "That's not human! That's not human!" And I remember the funniest thing about the whole video to me is all of the people commenting on it about how bad the dispatcher was.
Oh yeah,
like, this man's life might be in danger, and this woman's clearly doing her nails on the phone.
Like, can you calm down, please?
In all fairness, that's what they got to do. They got to sound.
Yes,
that's true.
I'll stick up for the dispatcher there. So. What about Bigfoot? Now, that's been a tough one for me. I'm not going to lie to you because being a cop, we've never really recovered any bones. Yeah, there's been a lot of footprints, but with all the drones, satellite, everything up over vast areas of wilderness, there's never been really any solid proof. So what are your thoughts there, guys? And while you're at it, tell me how people connect Bigfoot as a dimensional creature, if you can speak to that at all.
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways you can look at Bigfoot, right? Some see him like if you look at like earlier like Algonquian and like Native American roots, right? They looked at Bigfoot or Sasquatch as more of a spiritual creature, right? Sometimes he's been viewed as just a regular animal living in the woods, like any other animal. And then some people see him as a interdimensional being that can kind of blast in and out of our reality, right? So there's a couple different ways you can look at it to, you know, almost rationalize some of the lack of evidence, right? Also, there's areas like the Mapinguari, right? This is a Brazilian Bigfoot legend, right? Symbol Sasquatch legend, right? And it's from the Amazon rainforest. Now, yes, we have satellite images of the entire Earth at this point, right?
Yep.
But the Amazon rainforest, we've only mapped out, I believe, 5% of it, like on the ground, right? So there's a huge portion of just, you know, untouched land where things can exist, right? So there's definitely creatures that we don't know about yet that are living. And there's also a lack of understanding that we have for what these earlier explanations were for Bigfoot, right?
In fact, they just discovered another species of lynx, I believe, in Spain recently. Some mountain lynx that they've never found before. Suddenly, they discovered this thing, and they're like, "How have we not seen this for 2,000 years on this planet?"
Yeah.
So the fact that we're still discovering species of animals kind of bodes well for the plant, for the fact of whether or not Sasquatch exists, and considering that there are Sasquatch legends from just about every culture on just about every continent in the world, it kind of bodes well too.
Yeah, there's Sasquatch legends in Japan, in the Himalayas, in, you know, Northern America, South America, all over the planet.
That's part of my issue. I can certainly see where you're coming from with the, and I'm not disbelieving. I'm just trying to look at this, you know, logically. We're not talking about the Amazon here in West Virginia or North Carolina,
not at all.
So that's where it's coming from, and so that's where I wonder about this dimensional theory. I'm open.
So listen, we have gone to a lot of Bigfoot a couple Bigfoot conventions, right?
Right.
We've met some very enthusiastic members of the Bigfoot community, and I will say,
there's some theories that make
a lot of the people that are very into the interdimensional theory are the same people that are very into the idea of like mind speaking with Bigfoot. Have you heard about that? It's it's difficult. It's difficult. No, it's
hysterical.
Yeah. I remember we went to our first Bigfoot convention we go to, and there was a person there with a copper pyramid on their head that told us they telepathically communicate with Bigfoot all the time. And I smiled and nodded my head and was very happy she was enjoying her time at the Bigfoot convention.
But one of the people in charge of the convention told us that Bigfoot told him he was proud of him and very happy with him putting on this convention for him, and that he's there in spirit.
And he was opening the door for people.
Yeah, he told my dad that he was opening the door for people.
But it was an automatic door.
An automatic door to Sheridan Hotel.
It does make it a tad bit hard to be taken seriously.
Yeah, it does. It does. But and that's we find this a lot with all these cryptid legends, right? We'll have a couple very good, solid experiences that we've seen where people have actually, like, you know, like they're like that 911 call. That guy seemed like he was actually in shock and saw something.
Legit, yeah.
Yeah. And after that call, right, there's going to be another 500 people in that same area that make a Bigfoot sighting, right? That will create something. And so it's a huge, you know, it's an ocean of data, and you have to sift out a lot of the nonsense.
So let's do that right now, you guys. I mean, you've been really upfront, and I appreciate your honesty. But do you believe these cryptids exist? Whether or not it's actually some of them. Okay.
Some of them.
There's a handful that there's no way.
We have joked,
This, like,
who's your favorite?
My Lizard
Who's
Man's
your
up
favorite?
there. Mothman's probably my absolute favorite.
My favorite.
Pleasant. Quite an interesting museum there.
Yeah. My favorite is one that I know doesn't exist, but I
Yeah.
just love the story so much. It is the Grafton Monster of West Virginia. Super crazy story. This guy, he was a 17-year-old reporter, said he had this awesome monster sighting, right? Brought it back into his editor. They posted a newspaper article about it. It blew up. The entire town went into a monster hunting craze. Like for 50 years, all they talked about in this town was this monster. And then I found this random article online that I found it was referenced to online, and I couldn't find this article anywhere at any of our Grafton Monster books, any of the web pages. But it was the reporter actually saying 50 years later that he made the story up as a young reporter. And so I wound up contacting the library of Grafton in West Virginia, and I found the actual article they wrote in the newspaper, and it was from, like 2006 or something, I forget. And they sent it to me, and I was like, yeah, this is real. It's the same reporter. But I love the story. So Grafton Monster just has a place in my heart.
How do you separate these stories? And it's obvious, you guys have looked at some of them and found the fallacy in a lot of them. How do you split it up? How can you say this one's real, this one's not? What's your criteria?
Some of them are just straight up. They tell you, like that one. The guy wrote the story
Yeah,
50 years later.
obviously.
Was like, I made it up. Some of them are so far fetched. Like, for instance, the squonk. The squonk is a Pennsylvania cryptid.
Squonk's real.
Yeah. The squonk is this sad little naked mole rat looking, wrinkly, warty beast that lives in the hemlock forests that is so ashamed of its own appearance that all it does is cry. And if you try to catch it and you corner it, it dissolves into tears. We know that's not real because that doesn't work. That's not physically possible. Now, there are also some cryptids that we have stories that are too, like, they make too much sense. We covered something known as the Blue Devil, which is another West Virginia cryptid.
Well, I gotta stop you because we're about ready to come up on our last break. This is going way too fast. But stay with us. We're gonna start talking about ghosts right after the break. So I want to get your thoughts on that. So we'll be in here. So folks, stay with us. We'll be back right after these messages.
Perfect.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
And we're back for our final. Caught you there, Anthony. We're back for our final segment, folks. And if you want to hear a little bit more about what my team does, you can get a hold of us at IndianRiverHauntings.com for our Facebook page. You can also check our YouTube site out. I'll get these words out. Our YouTube site is at Indian River Hauntings 2341. If you want to see some of the videos of our investigations and some of the things that we do, you can also get a hold of me through the website IndianRiverHauntings.com. I can't even talk now. But folks,
Starstruck.
I also want to make sure that folks realize there's some great programming on the X Zone Radio TV channel. You can get to it by going to xzbn.net, xzbn.net, and see all the terrific programming on the X Zone Radio and TV channel. Now, guys, how can folks find out more about you?
You can find us on just about every social media platform. We are DNR Paranormal, either with an underscore, period, or no spaces. It's pretty easy to find us. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on TikTok, anywhere we exist. We got, yeah.
Right. Do you guys do how many investigations do you guys actually do? I know you do your podcasts and stuff, but how often do you actually investigate?
So we were doing a lot when we were still back up in New Jersey. Since moving down here to South Carolina, try to get our feet under us to deal with the move and all that, we haven't been able to do much. Charlie actually went out to San Diego and did one on the Proctor Valley Monster, but other than that, not much yet. We have plans to once the weather changes and we get out of the winter. So right now we're using the time to get our gear set and get some more gadgets and things built and put together.
I did some.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I said I just recently did some programming because we've noticed ghost hunting equipment, right? They have all kinds of fancy gadgets online you can buy, right? And if you want to spend, $1,000 for a motion capture ghost hunting system, I mean, go ahead. But I recently just took a Xbox 360 Kinect, right? And I made my own program where I can use it as a motion capture system. And this Xbox 360 Kinect is $10, right?
Yep.
$10 for that. They use it for
camera.
Yeah. They use it for animation now too, for motion capture. But you can also use this for, ghost hunting. And it also does an IR dots projection too. So the reason I use this one instead of the Xbox One Kinect was because the Xbox One Kinect uses a kind of like just a general, what's it called? Beam of light, just IR, like a huge stream of IR energy. This one uses individual lasers, right? So when I look at it with my IR camera, I can see those individual dots on the wall. So for getting some type of, motion, it's picking up like a stick figure of a person or an outline of a person with a depth chart. I can look with my IR camera and see if I see any fluctuation in those dots that are actually projecting that area too. So,
so what are you saying about equipment? What's your point there?
There's a lot of gimmicks that don't fall for them. There's so much that you can use and get and have for much less money. It's something as simple. I see cat balls are the new thing that people getting ripped off with. There's all these companies that are making the devil's balls and the ghost balls and the ghost orbs things. You can get a light up cat toy at PetSmart for like $5, and you could use that and get the exact same results that you need. All you need is something that can be manipulated by force and change. And now you have something you could be using, and you don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on.
Well, let me ask you this question. What advances have we really had in equipment, say, in the last 10 years, when you really get down to it?
Really, honestly, nothing. I feel like we've just advanced on the gimmicky side, and people stopped thinking for themselves and making their own equipment. And that's what we're trying to now put out there in the world too, is that you can ghost hunt on a budget, so to speak.
Yeah.
Where tools don't need to come from some fancy paranormal site or somebody that claims this is the greatest thing and they sell it to you for $1,000. I have a laser thermometer that I bought for $20 at Home Depot that does
just I got mine.
Exactly. Yeah. My EV, my EMF, my my electro reader, same thing. I got it at Home Depot. I didn't buy it from some crazy ghost site. It's an electrician's tool. Things like that. One of my best gadgets is from a Taco Bell Happy Meal from when I was like 12 years old. It's a little motion sensor and it still works. It runs on a watch battery. It's got an alarm on it. I can set it in the corner of the room and leave. And if that thing goes off, I know something happened.
So what's your favorite piece of equipment then?
Honestly, just the story that comes with the Taco Bell toy.
That's a good one. I haven't heard that one yet. How about you, Charlie?
I'm enjoying making stuff right now, right? So this Xbox thing is kind of like,
the Oculus that
the Oculus program that I'm doing. I have an Oculus headset, right? So it's a virtual reality headset, right? It also has a pass-through mode on it, though. So I'm making right now a ghost hunting heads-up display, right, where you can plug in your thermometers, your laser thermometer, EMF reader. It'll give you all that data on the Oculus on the pass-through mode. It's got IR cameras, and all the software I am making not only I'm going to make it, I'm allowing it just to be for free. I'm not selling it, right? But I'm also encouraging to show people how to build their own things. Instead of, I hate to see somebody buy a camcorder online because it has a picture of a ghost on it and says it's for ghost hunting. Just go get any regular camcorder you can that has an IR night vision mode. This is $90. I mean, and that's a little expensive, but it's not, it works. It's not $500. So I always tell people, don't go crazy with equipment. The first thing that you should do when you get into ghost hunting too is go with the most natural, easiest, old school ways you possibly can. Candles, just try straight up communication too. Try talking, see if you get a reaction. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars.
Your own senses.
Your own sense is the most important tool. All these gadgets help. They're cool. That the gadgets are there to share the story, right? I can show you what I saw with these gadgets, right? But the most important thing is you getting out there and,
But here's the kicker.
Yeah.
Do we yet, for sure, 100% know what the phenomenon is?
There are so many theories. There's so many ways it could go. Really, no.
Yeah.
And that's another big problem I see too. We all have our theories, and all of them could be right, but we have not yet created anything that can definitively tell us what the phenomenon is. And I think that's an important part of it. But I want to hear some of your ghost stories, Anthony. We've been talking cryptids and stuff. Talk to me about ghosts, man. What's your experience?
Okay, so one of the what should I tell the asylum or the t-shirt?
Do the asylum. Everyone, you said the word asylum. You have to say the asylum story.
So you got about 7 or 8 minutes. So
okay, go. So right before DNR started, I think this is actually what pushed me and Chris to start DNR. We got a group of guys together because we were big fans of this horror movie called Grave Encounters. And Grave Encounters is it's a found footage style horror movie about this ghost hunting team that's scam artists. They go to this asylum. The asylum turns out to be haunted, and they all, stuff happens. That asylum in the movie was based off an asylum that was actually close to us in New Jersey. It was called Overbrook. It's since been dynamited and condemned, and it's gone. But the asylum was a tuberculosis hospital back during the outbreaks in the consumption age. And then when tuberculosis was taken care of, it turned into an insane asylum, and they were doing some really, really horrible testing on the mentally challenged and the mentally insane, lobotomies and electroshock therapy and testing drugs and cutting people apart and all this crazy stuff. And they had all these underground tunnels between the buildings to hide bodies in, and crazy, lots of bad juju. So we were like, we got to explore. So we had a group of 5 of us. We all had like glow sticks and spray paint and things to be able to mark our way through so we didn't get lost because it was huge. And we started exploring. And we're wandering through the campus, and everything is boarded shut. We can't get into a single building. Everything is nailed closed. Everything's locked up. Finally, one of the guys in the group is this big football kid. It's actually Chris's brother. He's like, I'm just going to pull a door open, keep watch. And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that, but screw it. I want to get in the building too. So let's do it. So he's wrenching on this door, and I'm standing behind him with the flashlight, and there's a window next to me all boarded up. And as he's wrenching on it, suddenly I start hearing like knocking on the inside of the window. And I tell him, hold on, something's knocking. He goes, screw you. I'm going to get this thing open. I'm like, so he keeps wrenching on it. And finally, something on the inside of that window pounds that board hard enough that dust falls on me. And I go, dude, stop. We're not getting into this building. And he's like, I guess I'll trust you. And I'm like, let's go. Something else. So we keep wandering around, and I'm a little skeeved now, but half of me's skeeved and half of me's like, oh, there's something here. So we find a building where the roof had collapsed and part of the wall had caved in, and we were able to climb through the rubble and get inside the building. And we end up in this, I call it a dormitory, but it was a hallway with a row of cells on each side, and then a common room, and then more cells. And it's exactly what you'd expect from an asylum. Big, heavy iron doors, bed frames that are all rusted and gross, straps to things, needles on the floor, dirty mirrors. It was wild. and these doors were heavy. We had to, put your foot against the wall and wrench with all your strength to get them open, and then put your whole weight to get them closed again. And we're wandering around, we're exploring, and we all group up again, and suddenly we hear this tapping sound that almost sounds like someone walking with a blind cane, and it's coming closer and closer and closer to us. So we all just freeze, and we all have our flashlights, and we're waiting to see what it is. And it stops. The sound stops just about where you would be if you were just beyond the flashlight's reach. And we're all just freezing, watching, waiting for something to happen. And one of those doors, again, that I said you have to put your entire body weight into to move, opens itself and then closes itself. And we all went, nope, and we left because that was a little too much. And as we're all like quickly getting our way back to the car, I had been noticing the entire time we were there, anytime I would look up at the windows, I would see a woman that would then step out of the window frame every single time. And I just chalked it up to, I'm being paranoid. Like, I want to see something. I'm scared. Like, anything that it could be, my mind playing tricks on me. But as we're walking back to the car, my buddy Chris nudges me and he's like, are you seeing something in the windows? And I go, is it a woman? He's like, is she wearing like a gown? I'm like, with the black hair? He's like, dude, we're seeing the same thing. I'm like, we got to get out of here. This is creeping me out.
What do you think that is, Anthony? What is your opinion? What is your theory about that experience? What is that other side that we're looking for?
There's a lot of bad juju I guess was, because it's gone now, but there was a lot of bad juju and a lot of bad energy in that place. A lot of people getting tested and tortured and pulled apart. So I think it just might be residual. I think it could be anything from maybe the nurse was a good nurse that died and she's there watching over to make sure that the right people come through. Maybe some of the like the pounding on the windows of the walls, or somebody telling us to get away. Who knows?
Okay, as we've got only a couple of minutes left, and I got so many more things I'd like to. You guys have been a blast, by the way.
Well, here.
Well, what do you think it is? What is your theory of what it is, and what do you want to do to find the answer?
So
if you could wrap that in 2 minutes.
The biggest theory that I subscribe to when it comes to spirits is it's attachment. It's somebody that has either something unfinished or a reason to be paying attention to a specific place at a specific time. I don't think that they're stuck there, but I think they're watching that area from the other side. And whether it be for good or bad reasons, it's totally up to that spirit. So the best way to find out is to go back with some equipment and ask some questions. Find out why they're around and why they're watching that space, whether it's they're angry about something, they want revenge, they can't let go, or they're trying to warn people. They don't understand that the asylum has been closed for decades and they think that we're going to be the next patients and they're trying to chase us out, or they think we're the new doctors and they're mad. Who knows?
Well, either way, guys, as we wrap up, we're going to be watching DNR Paranormal to see what else you guys can come up with. I truly appreciate you guys being with me tonight. Look forward to having you back and tell some more stories. And folks, I want to thank you for being with us tonight on Paranormal Stakeout. And until next time, take care of yourselves. We'll see you on the other side. Have a good night, folks.